Our starter today is on page 24. 23 was the last one. Okay, 23 was the last one. So we're on page 24 now. And 24.1. In at least two sentences, please, based on the video, what kind of government systems were used in Venezuela? So use the video. Okay, use the video, use what we did yesterday. Kind of just write a quick reflection on the types of government systems that were used in Venezuela. And just heads up, there's probably going to be more than one. Okay, probably going to be more than one because the video was covered a lot of time. So, and we see a shift or a transition. So go ahead and work on that right now as your starter 24.1, please. You should have that in your digital notebook. Go. You got 2 minutes. Again, if you need assistance with any of the previous starters, because it's still a lot. I see a lot of people. I don't know if it's because you missed the very beginning of class or what, but you can always go back, right? And they go in order. Here's for September 30th, 23.3. So that's number 3. 23.4 is number 4, and then 23.5 was yesterday right here, starter. So each of those, and again, you can always go back and see. Number 1 for page 23 would be 23.1, and number 2 would be 23.2. Okay, so yeah, so you can take a look at it that way to see everything in sequential order. Okay. Um, Anybody else not have page 24? Anyone else not have page 24? And I'll double check on that just to see if there was an error with that. And hopefully all the other pages that I've assigned to you are there. And I'll make sure. Okay, I'll double check on that at some point. But you can put that down just on like a note or something, or just in Google Docs and then copy it over or put it on another page in your digital notebook if you need to until that populates. Okay. Yeah, and I think for some reason, I don't know why, because they were in order in my notebook and I distributed them. They may be rearranged in different order. Try and put them in the appropriate order if you can. All right, so here we go. October 6th, identify reasons for Venezuela's collapse. That's going to be our focus throughout this week. And our North Carolina Standard course of study is focused on economics and then government, focused on economic decisions and impacts a country, but also focused on the different sources of power and kind of types of governments that are in different societies. We're going to be looking at kind of that shift and transition for Venezuela. Unit continues to be Latin America. Statement of inquiry continues to apply systems determined power and equity. Prior to this, we looked at the colonial Latin America class system with the Peninsulars first and then the Creoles, but the Creoles wanting to be first, right? And leading a revolution against the Peninsulars in Spain. While the whole time you have mestizos, mulattoes, natives, and slaves below them, and how the Spanish were controlling that system. They determined who had the power and was equity going to be possible. And now we're going to look at the government of Venezuela and who has power and if there's equity in Venezuela. So synchronous time is 24.1, which we already did, and we're going to begin an article called Venezuela, the Rise and Fall of a Petrostate. We're going to begin that today, and you need to make sure your asynchronous time that you finish parts 1 and 2, and we'll do parts 3 and 4 tomorrow, and I'll talk more about that at the end of class. So we also have a Venezuela Assessment Friday. Here's what you're going to do for that assessment. That assessment is going to be an authentic assessment where you're going to take on the role of a Venezuelan citizen. And you're going to communicate. The president, Maduro, wants to hear your thoughts about the government, the decisions the government has made, and then what you think the government and the economy should do moving forward. So you're going to give like a two-part answer. You're going to do a critique of the current government and those actions, and then that's going to be paragraph 1, and then you're going to move into paragraph 2, which is going to be what do you want moving forward from the government. Now, yep, and then we have the quarterly, which is Wednesday, October 14th. Okay, Wednesday, October 14th. I'm glad that I see some comments here that's very applicable because the Venezuelan government did shut down any opposing views. So you have an opportunity to speak out without consequence. Okay, they want to listen. So now take a look here. Here's review. I want you to put this in the chat, please. What government systems were present in Venezuela throughout the video? And again, there may be more than one, and this is what the starter was. Go ahead and put them in the chat, please. What government systems were present in Venezuela throughout the video? Yeah, there you go, right? I think you're right. You know, we have democracy shifted to more of a dictatorship, okay, throughout this process. So you have a few of those where maybe a leader would be elected, but then they would slowly take control, more and more control, okay? Then we have what economic systems were present in Venezuela throughout the video. What do y'all think? What economic systems were present? Well, I mean, so yeah, so we're looking at, okay, good. So I'm looking at more of market, mixed, or command, right? Because a traditional really wasn't there. But yeah, I think we have more of a mixed, but also probably leaning towards command, where the government's in control of everything and takes control of everything. Good. All right, next, question 3, put in the chat, please. What actions and decisions by the government were detrimental or negative for Venezuela and why? Okay, what actions and decisions by the government? Okay. But what did they specifically do? What did the Venezuelan government do? I mean, there's a lot throughout the video. That's the focus of the video. All right, yeah, elected Maduro, kind of, right? Healthcare, okay, raising the food costs. Yeah, take away the power of the citizens. These are all really good, right? Now, I don't know if they didn't raise the food costs, but the value of their money because of inflation caused food to be so expensive. Yes, spending the country's wealth, okay, controlling the oil, all of those things. Yeah, good, good. All right, here we go. All right, now I'm gonna read through this. So we have page 26 in your digital notebook. We're going to continue to go through and use and apply these close reading strategies that we use for the Latin America DBQ. There are, I believe, 7 paragraphs that are on this page. We're going to go through this process for it. The first thing you're going to do is read through it one time, number the paragraphs, reread each paragraph, highlighting the same colors that we did for the DBQ, and then doing a hashtag main idea for each of those paragraphs. If there are 7 paragraphs, you need 7 hashtags. And then you're going to move on to parts 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so let's take a look at the digital notebook. Everybody should go to page 26, and we'll start this together. We will start this together. All right, so here we go. Let's look at page 26. This is what it should look like. And if your numbers are out of order, for some reason, some of them distributed in a different order. Now, this is not in the DBQ, this is in the digital notebook. We're in the digital notebook now, but we're going to apply and use the same skills and strategies. Now, we have 24 is new, 25 is new, and 26 through 29. 26 is part 1, 27 is part 2, part 3, and part 4. Okay? All right. Here we go. 26. So first thing I want you to do, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. 2 minutes, read through it. I see that. I'm gonna say 7, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And I think I know why you're saying 6. And I think they're both fine, right? I think they're both fine. 2 minutes, read through it one time. Go. Okay, so you should be finishing that up. Now, again, when you read through that first time, you're just reading to get an idea of, okay, what are we getting into? What's the topic? Okay, so it shouldn't take you too long. You don't have to like read it with intensity to understand absolutely everything. You're just reading through beginning to end, just very quickly through part 1 here. Now, next thing, I'm gonna do this with y'all too, okay, is we number the paragraphs. Okay, and here's where some of y'all saying 6. I'm gonna say 7. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is hit this draw. So if you're up here, okay, you see draw. And so I'm gonna number it. Let me use red for now. I'm just gonna use kind of like just the drawing function. 1, 2. So I'm gonna do 3 there, and I'm actually gonna do this as 4. Okay, so you could just make that 3 as well. I think I'm just getting picky there. And so you're not going to lose points if you have a different number off by 1 paragraph. But if you miss what is a clear paragraph, then then that's it. So okay, and then 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so there are my 7. There are the 7 paragraphs. Okay, now next thing we do is we reread each paragraph on its own in isolation and we highlight. Now let's do the first paragraph together, okay? Venezuela. So for me, right, that's kind of like a place. And I'm gonna do the highlighter. I'm gonna do a little bit lighter as well. Just do that one, okay? Here we go. Venezuela. Downward movement in economic and political confusion. So economics and politics are a mess, right? Okay, dangerous influence of resource wealth can have on a developing country. Developing, I'm gonna do green for country, okay? And you may have slightly different things highlighted, slightly different. It shouldn't be completely different, okay? But I mean, the small differences here and there are okay. Now we've read that first paragraph, and I know that was quick, but so the bottom line is if I'm looking at that paragraph, now I need to identify what is the main idea, what is everything in there talking about, okay? So if I'm looking at it, resource wealth is hard for developing countries is kind of that main idea. You can create orange as well. So here's how you do that. You can I like to add it, hit that plus sign, and add a highlighter. Pick the color that you want or select new colors. For example, I didn't have purple, so I had to create purple, right? So that's what I did. Eventually I want to like delete some of those too when I have time. I'm going to delete some of those. So it's really simple and I just have exactly what I need. So again, hit draw And you should have some of that stuff pop up. You should still have something really, really similar. And I'll take a look. I know that there are those functions all for you. But if I'm looking at that paragraph, I'm just going to have, I'm trying to limit it down to 3 words. It's kind of hard. I'm going to do hashtag danger money developing. Almost like it's dangerous for developing countries to have this like resource wealth. Okay, that's, I mean, kind of what I did. Okay. All right, because that's the focus. Okay. Now, let's transition to number 2. Okay. Venezuela is home to the world's largest oil reserves. Venezuela. Largest oil reserves. Petro statehood, which we'll get to that. Okay. Okay. Since its discovery in 1920s, blue, that's a number. Oil. Venezuela, exciting but dangerous boom and bust ride. Okay. I'm gonna say countries here. It kind of sounds to me like a group of people, like a group of people. The hashtag for the first one I put danger developing, danger money developing. Kind of like it's dangerous for developing countries to have these resources. Yeah, that's a good one too. Oil takes control. I think, so at least 20 years for government control. What was once one of Latin America's location, richest countries. Again, I would say countries like a group of people. Economic, political ruin. Okay, then we hashtag it. After we look at that, I'm gonna say Venezuela. Sorry, petrostate example. And if you start to get real frustrated with a kind of drawing that, you can go to text mode and you could put, I think you can write it in as well. You just write it in. Maybe a little cleaner, right? Venezuela, petrostate example. Be a little bit cleaner. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Let's do 3 and 4. Let's do 3 and 4, and then I'm gonna go through the review of today, and then you need to do 5 and 6, 5, 6, and 7, and then part 2 as well. Okay, and then that'll be it for the day. Okay, so here we go. What is a petrostate? What is a petrostate? Okay, so a petrostate is an informal term. Okay, petrostate informal term describe a country. For me, it's still like a group of people that have these characteristics that are in those bullet points there. Okay, government income is dependent on oil and natural gas, kind of like these energy resources. Economic and political power are mainly with an elite minority, almost like an oligarchy. And political institutions like the government are weak, corrupt. Okay, so, and that's where I think there's a discrepancy where you could say, hey, that's all one paragraph or it's 2. You know, And I'm not going to say that one answer is wrong, right or wrong. Okay. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to do the text mode here. Three. I'm just going to say Petro State. And then I'm going to say oil. Elite, corrupt. All right, they have oil, elite minority, like the country, okay, has the powers held within elite minority, and then they're often corrupt. They're gonna do things that are kind of selfish for themselves with that money, that wealth, that resource. Okay. Now, and I'm gonna post this exact video in a little bit, but I want to. So that is what you do. Now, here's the deal. Here's why I'm doing this. I could ask you guys questions. I could like always give like multiple choice questions or have you write the main, or answer specific questions about each paragraph. For me, that's not important. That's not real life. That's not how a historian thinks. The historians don't always just say, hey, I'm going to read this and answer questions that my professor gives me. Okay, they're going and they're trying to dissect the text and analyze the text to figure out what's going on. They're going through, they're making notes, they're highlighting, they're numbering, they're doing all of that with the document. They're close reading the text to understand it. So that's why we're doing this. I could have give you just, hey, read this and answer these questions, but I want to see you interacting with the document. I want to see you just, kind of just marking all over the document, showing your interaction, showing that you're close reading it. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Now, let's go back. I'm going to go back to um, right here. Take it out the door. Okay, everybody go to page 25, 25. So if we were in my physical classroom, sometimes I would do a ticket out the door where you have to complete or answer a question before you move on, before you leave the room to show kind of your understanding. So here's what I want you to do. 25, ticket out the door in your digital notebook, answer this question. What is a petrostate? Go ahead and answer that question now on page 25. It should look like this, just like the starter. But this one's of class, okay? Petrostate is a country rich with energy resources such as oil and natural gas. Okay? The countries are often led by a few leaders that are corrupt. There's my two sentences. There you go. You can do the same. Yeah, so if you don't see it, I'm going to try and distribute some of them again to some few individuals, but also some of them are out of order. So if you scroll and look around, and if you don't have it, you could create a new page and put it in there for now, just so you don't get behind, and then just copy it onto that page. I forgot to tell you all this. You need to do today by 10 p.m. parts 1 and 2. Okay, 1 and 2. And then tomorrow, are y'all familiar with tomorrow's schedule? Doesn't sound like it. Okay, so tomorrow is during SEL time, you have this panorama survey and test. I honestly have no idea what it is. Okay, so I have no idea what it is. Yeah, you can copy what I wrote if you want, or you can write your own. So you do this panorama test during SEL time tomorrow. Then after that, it's going to be map makeups for anybody that did not finish the map test or start the map testing for math and ELA, for math and reading. And after that, you are done. There are no Zoom classes tomorrow. No Zoom classes tomorrow. So SEL, panorama survey and test, I have no idea how long it takes or what it is. Okay, I'll know that before tomorrow morning. Then you have map makeups for anybody that did not finish or did not start your math or reading map test. Then after that, you have asynchronous work from each of your teachers, almost just like map testing, where you still had work to do, but you didn't log into your Zoom classes. So your time work tomorrow is to finish parts 3 and 4. Parts 3 and 4. If you do it all today, then you're done. You don't have to do anything tomorrow for my class specifically. Any other questions? And does that make sense for tomorrow's work? Because you're not going to Zoom class with me. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the recording. All right. I'm going to stop the recording. Make sure that you finish that parts 1 and 2 today, parts 3 and 4 before tomorrow.